Fellas, we did it. The tier 5 God roll for Giver's Blessing has finally graced us. This weapon is actually the replacement auto rifle for the God roll Chroma Rush you deleted thing. Look at this, man. My Chroma Rush with Kinetic, Tremors, Dynamic Sway, you sick Yeah, you remember that God roll? But thank the Traveler, a new rapid-fire auto rifle has been bestowed to us. And dare I say, this one is even better. This is the Kepler auto rifle Giver's Blessing. So how do you get it? You can increase your tier drops from all Kepler sources with upgrades at level 350 and 450. And you can also do the weekly Kepler mission, which will grant you a tier 5. Now, to be honest, we literally just did the Loot Cave farm, which we did a video on already, where we talk about whether or not it was worth it to be 450. And let me just say, yeah, dude, the amount of tier 5s you get, we're talking like 8 to 10 tier 5s every 30 minutes. And when you go there to Kepler, you can actually attune to the weapon that you want to drop, which means locking down God rolls for each of these weapons literally can be done within a couple hours. And in my opinion, the first weapon you should lock a God roll for is this one right here. Now let's talk perks on this thing. In our third column, we have moving targets, transcendent moments, impromptu ammunition, rewind rounds, demolitionist, shoot to loot, and feeding frenzy. In our fourth column, we have adagio, kinetic tremors, one for all, zim moment, adrenaline junkie, high ground, and multi-kill clip. Now let me just say, the God roll for this weapon, just right out the gate, you've probably noticed it too, is a kinetic tremor roll with either A, rewind rounds for PvE, or B, moving target for PvP. And that's actually the exact roll that I have for both PvE and PvP. And it shreds. And I know someone's gonna say, Cross, why not zim moments? Wouldn't that be nice for PvP? Or perhaps multi-kill clip? Sure, you can go that route, but I'm telling you guys, Tremors, even inside of PvP, is so good. I can't tell you how many times that perk lands me kills. And inside of PvE, in my opinion, it just outperforms everything else here. It outperforms multi-kill clip. It even outperforms one for all. And something we're going to get into in just a moment is kinetic tremor procs actually help you accumulate stacks of temporal blasts. So in essence, kinetic tremors is meta, not just for PvE, but also for PvP, which takes us to the origin traits on this weapon. This one is called Exhaustive Research, which is exclusive to all Kepler weapons. And by the way, Kepler weapons only have one origin trait. When you aim down sights and you don't shoot for 0.7 seconds, your next shot fires a micro rocket at your opponent. Now here at Carl, under 100 weapon stats, we're doing 381 damage, which is a pretty decent amount. Now there is a cooldown for this origin trait, approximately 5 seconds, and requires no shooting to activate. I wouldn't recommend this for just pure ad clear, but for high health targets, just to start off with a good chunk of damage at the beginning, sure. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what you're really here for. Temporal Blast. Temporal Blast has been arguably the best mod given to us this season. This mod builds up charges, and upon reaching 5 stacks, it loads a Temporal Blast that does a tremendous amount of damage. Now, the reason why Kinetic Tremors is so good on this is, as you can see here, the Tremors contributes to building up the stacks of Temporal, but it does not initiate the blast itself. Now, before you get let down, understand this is actually a good thing. You see, Tremors won't accidentally trigger the Temporal Blast, which is something that can easily happen even with the gun itself, as it doesn't require you to do damage to a target. You can literally like shoot your Temporal Blast off into a wall or something, which is a complete waste. Instead, it's the gun itself that when you've accumulated those stacks, you can point it to whatever target you want to point to and shred them, or at least do a chunk of damage with that Temporal Blast. And let me just say, guys, I prefer this. And keep in mind, Temporal Blasts, its stacks are accumulated purely based on damage. So if you're shooting into like a group of ads where Kinetic Tremors is constantly going off, and if you're laying on the trigger with things like rewind rounds, and maybe even playing with Actium War Rig, this is going to contribute mad stacks of Temporal Blasts. The other beautiful thing is that the origin traits, that micro missile rocket being shot off, can set off the Temporal Blast and can build stacks for it too. And since it does some pretty chunky damage, this is really nice to get the ball rolling toward those temporal stacks. Now, I mentioned that the God roll for PvE is Kinetic Tremors and rewind rounds, which let me just say, it is very good. However, there is another interesting combination that I can't overlook, and that is the combination of shoot to loot and Kinetic Tremors. Shoot to loot says that shooting an orb of power picks it up, shooting an ammo brick picks it up and automatically reloads all of your equipped weapons from reserves. Now, don't get me wrong, I love rewind rounds, but shoot to loot is fantastic with kinetic tremors. Proccing kinetic tremors, that AoE damage, if it hits ammo bricks, or hell, even orbs, will pick up those things. And even further than that, when utilizing the twofold armor set, which is the Trials armor set, the two-piece armor set is Crook and Flail. Picking up an ammo brick heals you. Now, guys, this is substantial. It's 70 HP for picking up an ammo brick. That's even better than the 4-piece Cauterized armor sets, where Rapid Solar Phantom Blows heal you, and that's 35 HP. So you're getting double the HP for simply picking up ammo. And when you're just sitting there blowing your load into a group of enemies, it's not a difficult thing for Tremors to proc and subsequently pick up ammo, heal you, and of course top off your reserves. Now, maybe you didn't want to go the shoot to loot route. Maybe you want to use that rewind round kinetic tremor combo and you just want to lean into kinetic damage. Well, fellas, look no further than the Techsec armor sets. The 2-piece and the 4-piece for both of these are fantastic. You've got Wrecker, which states that you deal significantly increased kinetic damage to combat shields, overshields, vehicles, and constructs. Constructs include barricades, turrets, stasis crystals, and other objects created in the field. Now, this 2-piece set for Techsec is a 200% buff to shields, which is nothing to sneeze at, guys. This essentially eliminates any issues with shields in all PvE content. It is the answer for kinetic weapons when it comes to dealing with elemental shields. Now, when it comes to vehicles like Brigs and Walker tanks, sadly, this is only around a 50% increase, but still some great passive damage just for rocking 2 pieces of the set. And then if you have the 4-piece, this gives you concussive rounds, where when you defeat powerful combatants or break a combatant's shield with kinetic damage, this releases a disorienting kinetic shockwave. Now, it's just a single shockwave, but it adds a little more damage, and the big thing is that it disorients the enemies. Needless to say, guys, there's so many different routes you can go here with Giver's Blessing. You can fully lean into it being an absolute damage dealer with the Techsec armor sets, or you can lean into that utility and get some heals from the Trials twofold sets if you go the shoot the loot routes, or you can just pick the ammo up manually. And this is what I really love about weapons right now, guys, is that never before had we had this much diversity in our builds. And again, I'm sure there's many other different combinations of armor pieces, guys, that could even synergize better than what we were getting here. I just found that the 2-piece for twofold and the 2-piece for Techsec was really nice. That 200% extra damage against shields, the 15% extra damage against vehicles, the proccing of kinetic tremors and shoot the loot that would pick up ammo and heal us. It was very nice. Now, as for the origin traits, is it worth aiming down sights at an enemy for roughly 0.7 seconds to proc that micro rocket? Again, the micro rocket is incredibly powerful inside of PvE. Granted, I often forget in a lot of my gameplay here to even proc it, but it does pair very nicely with Temporal Blast. Now, one thing we did notice in our testing is that the damage from the rocket, despite it showing 53, would also sometimes deal additional damage. So it's actually possible, after priming with the rockets, you can get the kill in 5 crits, 1 body. But more often than not, guys, you're gonna get the kill in 7 crits in 1 body at 200 weapon stats. Now, keep in mind, in order to secure that kill, if you're trying to go the route of proccing this rocket, you have to factor in that time in which you have to aim down sights on a target. This isn't something like box breathing where you can proc it while not even looking at your target. You have to be looking at your target in order to get the proc, which kind of defeats the whole purpose, as that extends the time to kill value. And for the most part, inside of Crucible, at least my lobbies, 0.7 seconds is way too much time to be aiming down sights and not doing damage. That leaves the enemy way too much time to either shoot you back or in the least get out of the way. Now, as much as I may like this weapon inside of PvE, let me just say, guys, I like it even more inside of PvP. This weapon is the stickiest rapid fire auto rifle I have ever used. It has even surpassed the godliest road Chroma Rush, even my OG kinetic tremor dynamic sway reduction. Yes, I know some of you are going to say, Cross, you're just coping right now because you had to delete that weapon, but listen to me, fellas. Giver's Blessing surprisingly hangs in this meta, and I wasn't expecting that. You see, upon first glance, when you look at this weapon and its gun model, it is massive, which is not what you want inside of PvP. You don't want a weapon that's taking up your entire screen, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't matter. This weapon finds targets and it stays oh so stable no matter how long you lay on the trigger. It has a 0.7 time to kill value, and when under 100 weapon stats, you can get the kill in 10 crits. At 200 weapon stats, you can get the kill in 9 crits, 1 body. Now, here's the thing. Kinetic Tremors is a fantastic perk inside of PvP because it essentially ensures the kill. When you proc Kinetic Tremors, this will give you 63 total damage at 21 damage per tick. Now, this goes up just slightly to 22 damage per tick, 66 total at 200 weapon stats. Essentially, though, when you land 11 shots, it procs Tremors, which I know may not seem that potent, but keep in mind, guys, this is 11 11 shots that can be majority body shots. Matter of fact, 3 crits, 8 body can still secure you the kill as long as the Tremor procs hits. And I promise you, it will snag you way more kills than you would think. That little bit of AoE damage has a psychological effect, not on just the Guardian that you just killed, but anybody that steps in that Tremor damage. But what I really like about it is that it makes me commit to every engagement. I'm sitting here right now in my moving target kinetic Tremor role with high caliber rounds, very high range, and even though yes, this only reaches up to about 29 meters, the consistency here, the target acquisition from moving targets is so smooth. And every time I enter an engagement, I feel confident enough to just simply lay on the trigger. Best case scenario, I get the kill and I walk away to the next target. Worst case scenario, I'm still able to proc kinetic Tremors and I get the trade. Now, could you go Zim moment or even something like a Adagio in that final column, or perhaps even multi-kill clip? Sure, but I'm telling you guys, kinetic Tremors inside of PvP with moving targets is the best feeling auto rifle in the game to me right now. And by the way, I do rock high caliber rounds. I know I have ricochet rounds on my roll right here, which yes, do contribute to more stability. I find the weapon to be very stable all on its own, but that's completely up to you. What I will say though is that the high caliber rounds, especially with this rapid fire frame, does such a good job at flinching opponents. I've heard some copium out there that high caliber rounds doesn't work inside of PvP. That's a lie, man. It 1000% works inside of PvP, and it does a number on people when dueling against this weapon. So much so that most people pretty much disengage the moment I start getting a few shots into them. If they're a good enough player, they understand that kinetic Tremors is going to kill them too quickly and they need to get out. So best case scenario, you've got a super stable auto rifle here that can kill in 0.75 seconds. With a perk like kinetic Tremors that literally says, hey, don't worry about landing crits, we'll secure the kill for you, no problem. So guys, that is our review for Giver's Blessing. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Snag that god roll, fellas. Find you a few armor sets that synergize well here. This weapon will reward you greatly. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.